All right, let's dive into one of the greatest adventures in American literature. We're picking up with Huckleberry Finn right at this incredible moment. He's just faked his own death, escaped his life, and now he's heading out into the wild, kicking off an epic journey down the Mississippi River. So think about this for a second. Huck has pulled off this genius plan to fake his own murder, all to get away from his awful father. He makes it to Jackson's Island, and for the first time, he's truly free. He's all alone, he's living off the land, and as far as anyone knows, he's dead. But, that peaceful solitude, it's not gonna last. And this is where Huck's big plan to be a lone wolf in the wilderness, well, it gets completely flipped on its head. Can you even imagine? Huck's out there loving his newfound freedom, thinking he's got this whole island to himself, and then one morning, he spots it, smoke from a campfire. So he creeps over, super cautious, and who does he find? Not some random stranger. It's Jim, the slave who belonged to Miss Watson, the woman who was trying to civilize him. Talk about a surprise. I mean, you have to feel for Jim here. His reaction is just pure terror. He thinks he's seeing a ghost. And why wouldn't he? The whole town of St. Petersburg is buzzing about the murder of Huck Finn. So to see this dead kid just show up at his campfire, wow. It takes Huck a minute to convince him he's real and explain the whole crazy escape story. So once everything calms down, this big question mark hangs in the air. Huck ran away from his dad, but why is Jim here? And that's when it clicks. Jim is a runaway too. Suddenly, this little island has become a shared hideout for two fugitives, both running from something terrible. And when you look at why they ran, man, their stories are worlds apart. On the one hand, you've got Huck, who's running from his abusive dad and what he calls civilization. But on the other hand, you have Jim. Jim isn't just running from a bad situation. He's running for his actual life and his freedom. He found out Miss Watson was about to sell him down the river to New Orleans, which meant brutal work and being torn away from his family forever. And for how much? $800. You have to understand, back in the 1840s, that was a huge amount of money. For Jim, running away wasn't really a choice. It was an act of pure survival. Okay, so you've got these two runaways on an island. How do they go from that to being partners? Well, their new life together gets started, and it's all dictated by one thing, the mighty Mississippi River. Almost immediately, this massive storm hits. For days, the river just keeps rising, turning their island hideout into a smaller and smaller patch of land. But the thing about the river is, it's not just a threat. It's also a provider. The floodwaters start bringing all sorts of strange and useful things floating right to them. And then one night, they see something unbelievable. A whole two-story house just floating by. So they hop in their canoe, paddle out, and climb in. And it's like a jackpot. They find all kinds of great stuff. Clothes, food, some tools. But they also find something pretty disturbing in there. And maybe most important of all, they find a big, solid raft. That raft, it's about to become their whole world. Now, this right here is such a crucial moment. See, that grim discovery inside the house was a dead man. He'd been shot in the back. And just as Huck is about to look at the man's face, Jim stops him. He covers the body and just says, "Don't look." He's protecting Huck from this awful sight. It's the first time we really see Jim step into this protective, almost fatherly role. This is the real beginning of their bond. So they're making it work, but they are completely cut off from the world. Huck, being Huck, starts to get antsy. He's got to know what's going on back in town. Are they still looking for his body? Is anyone looking for Jim? And this curiosity, it leads to a very risky idea. Obviously, he can't just waltz into town as Huckleberry Finn. He's supposed to be dead. So he grabs a dress and a bonnet they found in that floating house and hatches a plan. Yep, he's going to go into town disguised as a girl. He paddles over to the shore, and he's smart about it. He picks a house where a woman lives who's new to town, figuring she won't know him. He knocks on the door, introduces himself as Sarah Williams, and just tries to act natural, trying to get her to spill the beans on all the latest town drama. Well, let's just say his performance wasn't exactly convincing. The woman, her name is Judith Loftus, she figures him out pretty quick with a few simple tests. But she's actually pretty nice about it. And before she totally blows his cover, she drops a bombshell on him. The most critical and, honestly, the most terrifying news he could have possibly gotten. And just like that, everything changes. Their quiet little life on the island, it's over. They've got to go. And I mean they have to go right now. The news is just awful. First, she tells him there's a $300 reward out for Jim. There's also a $200 one for Huck's dad. Then it gets worse. A lot of people in town think Jim is the one who killed Huck. And then the final blow. She tells him her own husband is getting a boat ready to go search Jackson's Island for Jim tonight. Huck doesn't even wait to say bye. He just bolts out of there, leaps into his canoe, and paddles back to the island for all he's worth. He scrambles onto the raft and shakes Jim awake with the terrifying news. There is no time to plan, no time for anything. A search party is literally on its way. They scramble to put out their fire, shove that big raft into the river, and just let the current take them. They slip away into the pitch-black night, probably just moments before the Met arrive. Their safe little island is gone for good. From now on, their only home is that raft, and their only road is the river. So they escaped the island. They're on the move. But they're not safe, not by a long shot. They are floating down a river that is literally the line between slave states and free states. It really makes you think, for these two, a boy running from civilization and a man running from slavery, what does freedom even mean out here? And is it something they can ever really find?